Hey there, lovely. If you're a driven and highly ambitious woman who has checked all the boxes, followed all the rules, only to realize you don't actually feel fulfilled or you don't feel like you're living your purpose, then you are absolutely in the right place. My name is Melissa Chavis. I'm an intuitive mindset coach, and I am absolutely obsessed with helping you discover your true purpose, that thing you were put here on this earth to do, so that you can live the most fulfilling and abundant life possible. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. So I don't know about where you are, but I am in Ohio and it is freezing here. We're having some of the coldest temperatures we've had in a very long time. It's like 10 degrees with wind chills of like -10. So I'm freezing, but hopefully you are staying warm wherever you are. This week, I am actually preparing for an in-person workshop that I'm doing here in the area. And the topic is human design. And specifically, I am talking about human design authority and essentially what that means, how it is meant to be used, and the significance of your authority, really, and how I think it is a very important aspect of your chart, especially if, like most of my clients, you are trying to move your life in a more aligned direction. Your authority really helps you figure out which way you're meant to go and what is going to feel more fulfilling and more joyful for you in this life. And of course, I am actually planning on recording a version of that workshop that I can share with whoever would like to see it as well, because I think it will be incredibly helpful and important if you are trying to move your life in that direction. But as I'm preparing for that workshop, I started thinking about sort of this intersection and this interconnectedness of your strategy and your authority in human design, and how truly, when you combine those two elements, it provides so much more insight into how you're meant to make decisions and move your life forward in the right direction. I think a lot of times when we hear about human design, we hear people talking about your energy type. And that is one of the five energy types in human design, which you may or may not have heard of. They are generator, manifester, manifesting generator, projector, and reflector. So those are the five main energy types. And a lot of the conversation about human design centers around those energy types. That information is incredibly helpful. It essentially tells you how you are naturally meant to exist in this world and how your energy works and how you're meant to use that energy to move things forward in life. I think that it can provide so much validation and kind of this feeling of being seen or feeling like you have permission to be your true authentic self. So I think it's incredibly important and so helpful. But when I'm working with my clients inside my coaching program, and I am trying to help them get down to the actual literal actions that they need to take in life to move them in the direction that they're trying to go. We are talking a lot about strategy and authority and how those two aspects can truly help guide you, can serve as kind of this blueprint for how to move your life forward in a more aligned and fulfilling way. As I mentioned, these two elements of your chart really go hand in hand and work together truly to help you decipher and figure out how to go in the right direction in life. And if you are trying to create this life that is more aligned, that feels better, that feels like, yes, this is the right thing for me, this is what I'm meant to be doing, your strategy and authority are going to help you immensely in figuring out in your body what that feels like, what right feels like in your body. Also, I want to mention if you are someone who just really would like to have kind of a more in-depth overview of your chart, a more personalized review, I do offer 30-minute personalized reviews of your human design chart, and I'll actually run your chart for you, go over that with you, talk about how the different aspects of it can be used to help move your life in whatever direction you're trying to go toward whatever goals you have in your life. And then I will actually provide you with a digital copy of your human design chart after that call as well. So I will include the link here in the description so you can check out that session. So, like I said, I'll include that here so that you can check that out. Today, though, I want to specifically talk about strategy and authority and how they work together in a way that can be so helpful and so literal for you to understand the actual steps you need to take to get to where you're trying to go. There are 12 different combinations of strategy and authority within human design. So I don't have time to go through every single one of those today because, nobody wants to sit here for hours as I talk about every single combination. But as I mentioned, if I don't mention your combination today, feel free to go ahead and schedule a session and we can talk about how those things work together specifically for you. But I do want to go over kind of two of the combinations that I have seen several times inside my practice and have had actual experience working with clients with these combinations of strategy and authority. So the first combination I want to talk about is the strategy of responding combined with the sacral authority. So responding is the strategy for generators and manifesting generators. So if you are one of those types, then you will have the strategy of responding. Now, you may have a different authority, but many will have the sacral authority. So this probably applies to many people who are watching this right now. The strategy of responding essentially means that you are literally meant to move your life forward by responding to things in your environment around you. The universe will literally put things in your path. And in this combination, where you also have the sacral authority, you'll know what is right. What are the opportunities or situations in your life that you're meant to respond to? Because you'll just get a gut feeling of like, yes, this is right for me. You will just literally feel the yes in your body. It will light you up. So in some way, shape, or form, you will come into contact with something in your environment that will light you up, that will be like a full body, yes, I'm meant to do this thing, or I'm meant to learn more about this thing, or I'm very interested in this. I am going to dive in and find out everything I can about this thing. And that is how you are meant to make decisions and move your life forward in the right direction. So, if your strategy is to respond to things in your environment, you can be out of alignment or you won't see the progress that you're looking for if you're constantly trying to come up with new ideas on your own. If you're trying to say, what is something I would love to do? And what's so interesting is I think that a lot of people kind of start there, right? You start in this place where you're realizing that your current life situation, everything that you currently have going on, just isn't right. It's not what you're meant for. This feels wrong, right? And you start by asking yourself, well, what is it that I'm meant to do? What do I enjoy doing? What does actually bring me joy? And you start asking yourself these questions, and you will sit there and just spin and spin and spin because you can't come up with ideas. You can't figure out off the top of your head what you're actually meant to do in life. And so, if this is your strategy to respond to things in your environment around you, you're not going to be able to just come up with the answers out of thin air. It needs to be something that is around you that you see someone else doing, or just a question from someone else, or a suggestion from someone else, or just truly anything that you see in your environment around you that gives you this sacral response of, yeah, I'm meant to do something in this area, or I want that thing that I see someone else have, or I see someone else doing this thing and that looks really cool. I feel like I want to try that out. So if you are sitting there and you're just trying to come up with ideas off the top of your head, it's not going to work. If you decide, maybe I should try XYZ, that seems like an idea, and you go and you try XYZ, you're going to feel like, no, this is wrong. This is all wrong. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And so it can get really, really frustrating for someone with this strategy of responding if they're constantly trying to come up with new ideas on their own. They're constantly trying to initiate things sort of out of thin air, because ultimately you're really just meant to be responding to the things in the environment around you. And the same with your authority. If you have a sacral authority, you will know when the right things come into your environment. You will just feel it. You'll just know in your body, like, yes, yeah, yeah. And I've heard from people who have sacral authority that that is literally what it feels like. Something comes up for them, they have something presented to them, and they just know in their body, like, this is a yes for me. Now, where you get out of alignment is if you start either responding to things that don't feel like a full-on yes in your body, or if you ignore those full-on yeses in your body and go in a different direction. Because maybe in the moment when this opportunity comes up or this idea comes up in your environment, maybe it doesn't seem logical that you would take that opportunity or that you would try to go in that direction. And so work through the pros and cons. You try to figure out if this is a logical next step for you, and you move yourself in a different direction. When ultimately the only thing that really matters is that yes, that you felt when this thing came into your awareness. And so if you're constantly ignoring that gut feeling that you have, because, many different reasons, like, oh, that doesn't seem logical, that doesn't seem realistic, or whatever the case may be, if you're ignoring that gut feeling, you're going to be out of alignment. You're not going to truly be moving your life in a direction that will ultimately feel fulfilling and exciting and joyful for you. In fact, the universe is going to bring different opportunities, different invitations into your awareness, into your environment for you to respond to. That is just how it will work. And when it's the right opportunity, when it's the right direction for you, you will know it. You will feel it. And so it is ultimately all about trusting that the right opportunities will show up for you. They will be presented to you. And that when they are, you will know it. You will truly feel that, yes, this is the right direction for me. Okay, the other combination that I want to talk about is the strategy of waiting for the invitation combined with splenic authority. Now, waiting for the invitation is the strategy for all projectors. So if you are a projector, you do have the strategy of waiting for the invitation. However, there are several different authorities that you may have. What I want to talk about today is the splenic authority. So, you are essentially, as a projector who's waiting for the invitation, meant to only move forward in situations where there is an open invitation for whatever it is that you're going to provide in that situation. The way that you will know if it's the right invitation, the right opportunity, the right person to provide your guidance to, if you have the splenic authority, is that you will get an intuitive hit about it. You'll get a quick yes, or quick, this is the thing that I need to be doing. With this combination, it can work in a couple different ways. There can be the invitation presented to you first. So someone could ask you for advice, or someone could offer you a job, and you could then get the intuitive hit of like, yeah, this is the right person for me to have this conversation with, or yeah, this person, I'm supposed to provide my guidance to them. I'm supposed to have this conversation with them, or yeah, this is the right job for me. Like I don't know, it's just this like quick intuitive hit. I got it. Yep, this is the job for me. Or it could work in the reverse as well. You could get a quick intuitive hit that you are meant to do a certain thing. You are meant to find a certain opportunity or a certain job or a certain type of client that you want to work with. And then you're meant to sort of wait for an open invitation for that type of opportunity. So, as a projector myself, I know that this whole concept of waiting for the invitation and what is an invitation, what does an open invitation look like, feel like, how do you know? Because ultimately, it is not always going to be someone saying, hey, Melissa, can you help me with this thing? Or, hey, Melissa, I need your advice or your support on this thing. If it were that, it would be very simple and straightforward and very helpful if that were the way things worked out in reality. However, sometimes it is truly an invitation of like, hey, we're looking for someone to present a workshop on this thing. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to present at that workshop. Yeah, that makes sense for me. I'm going to go do that, right? Or it could just be knowing and feeling that the person on the other side of the conversation is actually open to whatever guidance you're there to provide. They don't even necessarily have to ask for it or say that they're open to it, but you just need to feel and know that they're open for this, that there is that open invitation there. So it can be challenging to figure out at first, but it is literal in some ways. There does need to sort of be this openness to whatever you're going to provide. Also, one thing that can be super tricky about the splenic authority is that the intuitive hit is typically pretty quick. So whether it is you get the feeling because there's been an invitation that you've seen that's been open to you, or whether it's just sort of independent and you get this quick hit of, oh, I need to do this thing, or I need to go in this direction. It's typically very quick and doesn't really last very long. So it can get very tricky and you can get out of alignment if you either brush it off and don't give much weight to this intuitive hit that you're getting, or if you get it, you feel it, you acknowledge it, but then you try to weigh the pros and cons or figure out if this is logical or not, or if this makes sense, or if this is realistic for you. And so you end up spending all this time kind of going around in circles on this idea. And then 24 hours later, you don't still have that intuitive hit. You don't still have that feeling that you initially got about it. And so you are kind of like, oh, maybe it wasn't there. Maybe that wasn't right. It doesn't seem really logical anyway. And you can kind of talk yourself out of believing this, out of really knowing what you did feel there in that moment. So, as I mentioned previously, it is truly all about trusting. Trusting those intuitive hits that you're getting, even if they don't seem logical, even if they don't seem to make sense at all in the moment, that they're important and they're important to pay attention to. And even if you don't take action immediately on it, you need to make the decision that you are taking action on it, that you are going in that direction, because that decision needs to be made when you are sort of still in it, when you have that recognition of that intuitive hit. The other piece that can be challenging, as I kind of alluded to earlier with this combination, is that waiting for the invitation. And what is an invitation? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And truly, this is something that you figure out over time because you start paying more attention. When you go into a conversation with someone, you start paying more attention to whether or not they really seem open to what you have to offer them. Or you start paying attention to the things that you see in your environment that seem like invitations for you. So, as I mentioned earlier, and something that, literally happened for me in my life was I saw a call for presenters at this workshop and I recognized that it was an invitation. And then I had to use my own authority to figure out if it was the right invitation for me. But with this combination, right, you would get the invitation of maybe a job offer or being asked out on a date or kind of any type of situation where you're presented with this opportunity in a way that's like this open door for you. And then you use your authority, in this case, your splenic authority, to know whether or not that is the right invitation for you to respond to. And the splenic authority, as I mentioned, is a quick, intuitive hit of like, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. And you won't have any logical thoughts behind it or reasoning to go along with it. It truly is just this intuition that comes to you in a split second, and you will feel, yes, this is it. Okay. So those are the two combinations that I wanted to go through today. As I mentioned at the beginning, there are 12 possible combinations of strategy and authority. And ultimately, these are two incredibly important aspects of your human design chart that, especially when used in combination, can really help guide you and help move you in the right direction in your life in a way that truly feels aligned and just feels right. Now that I've gotten into this and I am listening so much more to my own strategy and authority in my life, the opportunities that come to me where I truly know, like, yes, this is an invitation that I'm meant to accept because for me, it just makes sense. They just feel so much more aligned. And I end up seeing so much more success in my life from those opportunities and from moving in that direction. Things just feel right. They feel aligned. It feels easier to move through life in that way when I'm really leaning in and paying attention to those things in my day-to-day life, even. So that's the other piece of this. I've been talking about strategy and authority and following those in your life on this grander scale, on sort of this like full alignment and finding your purpose and moving to a life that feels fulfilling. But literally in your day-to-day life, even with small decisions and minor actions, using your strategy and authority to figure out what is right for you, just in the day-to-day minute details of your life, will make things feel better and will move you in the right direction. And so Not only is this important for like big major life decisions like accepting a job or moving to a new home or finding a partner. Not only is it important for those big, larger scale things in your life, it's also super helpful and impactful and important for just day-to-day decision making. So it truly is meant to be very literal and guide you and help take you in the right direction. So that's it for the two strategy and authority combinations I wanted to go over today. As I mentioned in the beginning, I do offer a 30-minute session where I will go over your unique human design chart with you and talk about how specifically you can use that in your life in whatever unique situation, whatever goals or objectives you have, how you can use your chart to kind of create more alignment and to move you in the right direction in your own life. So if you're interested in signing up for one of those sessions, I am going to put the link here so you can click on that and get some unique and helpful insights into your specific human design and what it really means for you. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. And thank you so much for joining me here for this conversation. I will see you back here, same time, same place next week. That's it for another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you found it helpful, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that by liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel or rating and reviewing the podcast wherever you're listening.